How is it that some people are successful in their backpacking trip and other people are failures? Besides just perhaps maybe getting hurt on trail, illness, or perhaps maybe fire, something that's beyond your control, why is it that some people are successful and other people, like I said, fail? Today I'm going to talk about probably the common factor in why some hikers are successful in whatever hike they do, a through hike or a section hike, day hike, overnight hike, whatever. But why are some people successful and others aren't? I want you to listen carefully. Hopefully this will help you on your next hike. And so let's get it. Before I was a pastor, I was in the business world. In 1976, I graduated from the University of South Alabama with a Bachelor of Science degree in business and management and with a concentration in marketing. One of the first things that I learned in business was that you have to have a mission statement. Now, basically, a mission statement explains or it conveys why you're in business. If you cannot state why you're doing what you're doing and why you're in business, then you're not going to stay around very long, or you'll get off track and eventually fail. Now, it's the same thing with the hiking world. Before you take a through hike or a section hike or any kind of hike, basically, you've got to know why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get off track, or perhaps you won't even finish your hike. You fail. I've been doing overnight backpacking trips since 1994. I began going out with my two boys. Basically, I wanted to do some manly things with them and just teach them about the outdoors and things like that, and spend some time with my two boys. Now they're grown men and having kids of their own. But something happened. My two boys got older and they became more interested in girls than spending the night in the wilderness with dear old dad. And so they kind of gave up on backpacking, and so I kind of hung up my hiking boots for a little while. Then in 2015, I heard about a book that later became a movie about the life of Cheryl Stade. She hiked the Pacific Crest Trail from Tehachapi all the way to the Bridge of the Gods. Basically, the reason why she did what she did, the reason why she was hiking, is she wanted to find herself. From what I've heard about her and her story is that she was on a self-destructive path, and with drugs and immorality. And she hiked the Pacific Crest Trail basically to find herself. She had a why. And as soon as she found herself, she basically went home after that at the Bridge of the Gods. Now, I've been on 3 through hikes: the Pacific Crest Trail in 2020, the Pinhoti Trail from Alabama and Georgia in 2023, and then in 2024, I hiked the entire country of Ireland on the Ireland Way. But each one of those through hikes, as well as thousands and thousands of miles of backpacking trips that included several overnight hikes, each one of those, I had a reason why I was doing what I was doing. When I did the Pacific Crest Trail, I was hitchhiking into town, and a couple picked me up, real nice couple, and they asked, in the course of the conversation that we were having, they asked me a question. They said, Rev, why are you doing what you're doing? They said, at 67 years of age, why are you hiking 2,653 miles? As soon as they asked the question, I immediately said, because I can. Now, that's the reason why I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. It wasn't to find myself. I figured at 67 years of age, if I hadn't found myself yet, I'm never going to. I did it because it was challenging, and I wanted to challenge myself, and I did it because I could, because I know that one day I'm not going to be able to do what I'm doing now, and so while I can, I'm going to. And when I get to the point where I can't, then I'm not going to. But again, the next time you take a backpacking trip of any length, ask yourself the question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I going backpacking? Why am I putting myself through what I'm putting myself through? Why am I sleeping on the ground when I could be sleeping in my bed at night? Ask yourself the why, and if you can't either verbalize it or put it in writing or whatever, if you don't know the why, then you're going to get off track, you're going to quit, and you're not going to be successful. Now, let me give you several things about the why of backpacking. Number one, the why will determine what gear you bring. If I'm just going to do like an overnight hike, or maybe a couple of nights hike, and I want it to just be enjoyable, just get out there, have fun, not do a lot of miles, not have to be at a certain place at a certain time, just to get out and enjoy. That's the reason why, is I just want to get out there and enjoy the trail, enjoy the weather, enjoy the environment. Then I'm going to carry a certain amount of gear. I'm going to carry a camp chair, and I'm going to carry things that probably are a little bit heavier than I would if I was doing another hike for another reason. I'm going to carry things that I don't really care about the weight because I'm just doing it for a couple of days. Now, if I was going on a long distance trail for a long period of time and staying out 5.5 to 6 months, then I'm going to try to get the lightest gear that I can. I think that's the reason why there's so much arguments, disagreements in the hiker community over lightweight gear and heavy gear, is because people are going out for different reasons. If I'm going out just for enjoyment and just for a few days, then yeah, I'm going to carry heavier equipment, heavier gear. But if I'm going to do a long distance trail, then I'm going to carry as light a weight of equipment as I can, because I got to carry that for a long distance. Again, when you determine the why, it will help you to bring a certain amount of gear. And by the way, if somebody gives you a hard time about bringing camp shoes or a camp chair or a stove, a backpacking stove or whatever, just tell them, say, look, I ain't going on a 6-month hike. I'm just going overnight. And so, back off. Your why will also determine where you go. For example, if you're not interested in doing a long distance trail, then really there's no need in doing the Pacific Crest Trail or the Appalachian Trail or the Continental Divide Trail or any long distance trail. Now you can do sections of it, and but again, a lot of times the why will determine where you go, what trail that you go on. After I got finished with the Pacific Crest Trail, I wanted to do some shorter long distance trails, if that makes any sense. But I wasn't interested at the time of staying out for 5.5, 6 months. The Ireland Trail, which was 650 miles, about 629 miles, 1,000 kilometers, it took me about a month to complete. It was a different trail. When I did the Pinhoti Trail, it was a different trail. It was 350 miles, somewhere around in there. It took me about a month, somewhere around a month. And so I wasn't wanting to stay out for, like I said, 5, 6 months. I just wanted to stay out for a month or so. But your why will determine what trails that you go on and where you go. Here's another thing about the why. The why will determine how long you stay out. Again, I think there's a lot of argument in discussion in the hiking community because the why differs. I know some people that only hike a trail to get the FKT, the fastest known time. And, they'll do the Pacific Crest Trail in what would normally take about 5 to 6 months, they would do it in a month. You have to determine the reason why you're doing what you're doing, why you're hiking this hike, will determine how long that you stay out. People say, you folks that do long distance trail, goes through hiking, and you do 20 miles, 25, 30 miles a day, you're not seeing anything, and you're not going. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in all my life. You can see more doing 30 miles a day than you can doing 2 miles a day. Think about that. Again, you have to determine why you're doing what you're doing. If I'm going to do a long distance trail, then I've got to be from point A to point B at a certain period of time. Otherwise, perhaps maybe bad weather will come in. When I did the Pacific Crest Trail, I got to the northern terminus on September the 28th, and we had just had an unbelievable rainstorm, which turned into a snowstorm. And so I had to get finished with the trail as quickly as possible. And so again, you have to determine why you're doing what you're doing, why you're hiking this particular trail, and it will determine how long that you stay out. Another thing about the why of backpacking is your why will determine your enjoyment level. If I'm going to do a long distance through hike, for example, if I'm going to do the Appalachian Trail, which at the time of this recording I'll be doing next year, I know that if I was only doing the trail out of enjoyment, I would probably quit the 3rd or 4th day. If you want to understand the Appalachian Trail, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is a green tunnel. You get to the top of a climb and all you see is nothing but green trees. I'm not hiking the Appalachian Trail strictly because of enjoyment. Now, again, those are secondary reasons, but the reason why I'm doing a long distance hike is because I can, to challenge myself. That's why we spend days upon days out in the wilderness and freezing cold and rain and putting up with it, not because of the enjoyment of it, but because of the challenge of it. So again, you have to determine why you're doing what you're doing. When I did the Ireland Way, it was such a different trail than the trails in the United States. A lot of it was road walking. A lot of it rained probably about 60% of the time that I was on trail. Now again, if I was doing the Ireland Way strictly out of enjoyment and because the trail was so, and it was beautiful, then I would have quit a long time ago. But the reason I did it is because I challenged myself, and that's why I was willing to put up with all the quote inconveniences of the trail. So I hope these things helped you. I know that a lot of times I get a lot of grief from other hikers. You know, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? And again, my why might be different than your why. And so once you determine why you're doing what you're doing, then just go for it. Just get it. Now, if you enjoy this, be sure and share it with someone else. Make sure that you leave a comment down below and give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And if you've not subscribed to my channel yet, please be sure and do so. And if you'd like to learn some more things about backpacking and hiking and things like that, then be sure and check out the videos that are on the screen. And until then, I will see you down the trail.